Today I'm going to be showing off some tool tips designed by Videen, produced by A1 that I am genuinely excited about. These will make your repairs faster and cleaner. To stay up to date on all the coolest PDR content, make sure you subscribe to this channel right now. Hey, what's going on, Real World PDR? This is Jim, and today we're going to take a look at some tools that I'm actually genuinely excited about, and that is these Crease Killer Dolly tips from Dent Repair. As you can see, these Crease Killer Dolly tips from Dent Repair come in 3 different sizes. You've got the big mamma jamma here, one in the middle, and then this little baby guy. So I can't show you every way that we're going to use these tips, but I am going to show you a few in this video right now. So let's take a look. As I mentioned before, this comes in 3 different sizes. We're going to call this Papa Bear, Mama Bear, and here attached to this tool, I've got Baby Bear. Now, it's pretty obvious if you're going to use Papa Bear or Mama Bear here, and you wanted to just use this for straight pushing, put it on your rod and just push like so, that's going to be a big, wide push. And that's great. That's not really where the magic of these tools happens. So let me show you what we can do with a crease using Baby Bear here. Quick demonstration time. Now I'm going to fix a real crease using these techniques. Now if you want to see these techniques covered more in depth, make sure you check out realworldpdr.com where we've got this and so much more to show you. Okay, so when we're working creases with these Crease Killer Dolly tips, here's the motion that you're looking for. It is going to be a rocking motion like this, and you're actually going to rock that along the edge of the panel there, right along your crease. That is going to pick up a crease faster and smoother than just about anything that you've ever seen. So when you watch it happen, when you're actually watching the crease disappear on the panel, what it'll look like is that I'm sliding that tool. That's not the case. I'm actually just rocking it underneath the panel there. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how I would repair a crease using this Baby Bear tip here, and then we'll move on to a couple other cool uses of these tools. Okay, so using the Baby Bear tip here, I'm going to go ahead and work this crease that you see right there. And remember, that's going to be using a rocking motion like that. Let's check it out. One thing to keep in mind when you're using this technique is not to get in a hurry. You're already so much faster doing this than traditional pushing. Take your time. Okay, admittedly a white vehicle might not have been the best for filming this, but don't worry, you're going to get the general idea of this. So I'm rocking that tool right in the deepest part of that crease there. And this is just my first pass. First pass is mostly just to get the meat of this dent out. There we go, first pass done. Second pass. I'm keeping the rocks very short. I'm not trying to use the entire length of that tool tip. Maybe a 1/4 inch or so at a time. To reiterate what I just said, make sure when you first start using this tool that you're not trying to use the entire length of the tool at once. You want to make sure when you're rocking that tool, you're staying within that crease. If you get outside of that crease, you're actually going to have these little lines for push marks. Now that's not really that bad, but to really take advantage of the efficiency and the cleanliness of this tool, you want to be very accurate while you're using it. So keep those rocks nice, short, and controlled. Second pass is done, and as you see, that crease is already pretty well gone. Now I'm going to get this last pass just to fine tune anything. Now I train people using 3 passes with this type of tool just because it makes sure that they're not getting too aggressive in the beginning of the repair. You will be able to cheat that as you get a little bit better using this technique. The learning curve with this is very short, so don't be afraid to get in there and try it out. Bam. And that's it. What was that? About a minute of pushing? Not so bad. So check it out. That's where we started and that's where we ended up. Not bad for a minute. So that's it. That's how long it took me to fix that, I don't know, 2-inch crease. Now, that is a little bit of magic. That doesn't mean that you're not going to still have to know how to fix a crease the traditional way, because sometimes, especially if you're working a dent under a brace or something like that, that technique's not going to be available to you. But when it is, it's pretty cool. I've experimented with all 3 of these tips, and all 3 of them can do that same technique there. Now, The smaller one is just gonna get you just a little bit more precise. But these two tips do some stuff that this one doesn't do quite as well, so let's take a look at that now. So earlier I mentioned how both of these larger two tips, they'll still take care of the creases like I showed you with the baby bear tip. But these, if you use for straight pushing, are gonna be a nice, wide, soft-ish kind of push. But if you're doing something like roughing out a lot of fender damage or something like that, let me show you a little bit of magic that you can use to make the softest, best push ever. So I've got my collision cordless glue gun here loaded up with Purple Perfection glue from Dent Repair. Shameless plug. And I'm just gonna cover this biggest tip with glue. I'll use this, like I said, whenever I'm roughing out a lot of damage, because when this glue dries, that is the softest, nicest pushing tip that you could possibly find. So whenever I cover this tip with glue like this, even without the glue, it's a very wide, soft-ish kind of push, but it's still gonna be metal on metal. Now I cover that with glue, just like that, and all of a sudden it is very wide. There's no hard contact between two bits of metal. It's just gonna be the glue on the panel, and that's a very, very soft way and a very easy way to rough up a bunch of metal at once. All right, just to kind of give you a visual, if we use our imaginations here and pretend that we've got a large fender dent on this Subaru. Now, I've got my tip here covered with glue. Now, if I get behind that panel and I push with that, that's gonna be a very, very soft push. That's gonna move a lot of metal, but it's gonna move it cleanly. There's not gonna be any push marks with that. To give you an idea of how useful and versatile these Crease Killer Dolly tips from Dent Repair are, that's hard to say by the way, this is a dent that came in that I fixed using exclusively these tips with varying techniques. I started by roughing it out using that glue-covered tip technique that I showed you. Then I moved on to some interior blending, which I'll teach you at realworldpdr.com, and I rebuilt that body line using that rocking technique. So these tips were the only tips I used to repair this, and I got it retail quality within like an hour and a half. Now that would be hard to do using traditional pushing. This isn't the first time that I've used techniques like this. There are other tools out there that do similar things. This is called the Killer Whale Tail, and it is a great tool. The problem is sometimes that they're a little bit hard to get a hold of, and you have to buy the whole tool, and it's just one size. It just is what it is. If you want a bigger size, you're gonna be buying another tool. Whereas these tips, they work with any of your interchangeable tip rods that you already own, which for a lot of people is gonna make buying this set of tips a lot more convenient than buying a whole bunch of specific rods. So these tips are a collaboration between John Videen with Dent Repair and A1 Tools, and guys, you guys did a phenomenal job with this. I am truly, truly excited to use these. Ever since I got them about, I don't know, 2 weeks ago, I'm reaching for them all the time. Although it might be a bit of a late entry, I'm gonna say that these are definitely in contention for my pick of Tool of the Year for 2022. In this short video, I showed you a couple of things that these tips can do, but the fact of the matter is, there's all kinds of cool shit that these tips can do. If you wanna learn more about that, check out realworldpdr.com, where you see me use these tools and tools like this all over the place. I'll show you some really cool techniques that will make your repairs faster and cleaner. And don't forget, if you sign up to become a member at realworldpdr.com, PDR monthly, Anson is gonna send you a $100 credit for anything in their store. So sign up for realworldpdr.com, PDR monthly, and get $100 worth of Anson store credit. You can't lose. Thank you everybody for watching. Make sure you log on to realworldpdr.com and become a member of PDR monthly. We've got hundreds of high-quality PDR tutorials that you can use to jumpstart your career in paintless dent repair. Thanks for watching, and I will see you on the next one.